It's star 1978 star 8378 Nicole Cattaruzza. It's so strange because Linda grew up here. Linda and Lou in hell. I mean, I don't know when the Pythagorean theorem, philosophical whatever, came up with a word or concept of hell, but it really works for the HE and then the double hockey sticks I entered into when I became their one and only child in whatever this is, in the New York area. They went today to Short Hills, New Jersey. I'm like, what are you went to Jersey for what? They went to some mall. I'm like, right, that's weird. I was like, so did you run into anybody? I mean, because they've been out before together. And I said, I'm like, so you grew up here in New York. I was like, again, all the brothers and sisters, you got 10 to get all of you together. All that wingspan and all the possibilities of friends and a lifetime full of memories that could have been had, and all the years you were held captivated in school, in your grammar school or elementary or whatever they called it back when it was your turn. I was like, and in your adulthood, just as an update, Lynn, I was like, how many times you run into somebody you knew from either elementary school or middle or high school? She's around 70-something. The only repeat facial recognition she's had is twice that she can recall in her entire life. She spent 13 years held captive in Elmont with the people from Sewanaka School District. And then they went upon their lives. She did not keep a single friend for some reason. They just, whatever, grew apart, or however that happens. And then, unbeknownst to Lynn, never ran into anybody ever again, never bumped into anybody ever again. Do you know how odd that is? Like, did every single person she went to elementary school and high school with die? Like in some weird freak? I mean, like, not... only lives 15 minutes from where she grew up. And not once has she ever run into anybody. I know, like, in small town, whatever, like, they're generations deep in everybody's family and stories and keeping tabs on one another. They're fortunate. But here in New York, it's bizarre, the behavior. I myself, all the years I spent, I couldn't get a exact read on one situation because it was a little confusing as to whether it really was this person or if it was a doppelganger. I couldn't tell. And tells you how much time I spent, like, whatever. Second person from high school actually contacted me so I could help him find a house. So that was a nice change, that just one person found me, and however they find people. And then I went looking for clothing because I was going somewhere, and I ran into some girls from St. Dominic's at a totally different time at the mall. 3 times my entire life, and not one of them is from my elementary school or middle school, high school. That was in Cold Spring Harbor. Not one. I still live on the same island. I've gone to Huntington, I can't tell you how many times. Gone to Melville a lot of times. Did they all die too in some mysterious accident I don't know about? I'm just curious because it's just such an odd occurrence in statistic probability and the way that humans like are like the way that they're built. I mean, like, you're supposed to be creature comforts. Like, you meet in this, you're held captive together in some whatever emergent situation for 13 years. You'd think someone would keep in touch and check in on. I mean, like, you just totally ghost each other. I mean, like, it does, like, conceptually, what's your purpose as humans? I mean, like, do any of you care about anyone else but yourselves? I mean, I don't know how to find people. That would be my thing. But, again, lack of effort. I really have no idea why the socio-relationships worked out in such a disengaged format. I mean, that's a little odd as well. I mean, I've got space and time stuff I work on, but like when the world stands still kind of a thing. But, and I've got integrated higher purpose stuff that appears when the world stands still, and their importance, not in my own. I'm just in the holding cell of what feels like purgatorious nothingness. But in this purgatorious nothingness, it seems very odd that my grandmother, who came here when she was 7 from Ireland, she had her children, but never, like, I guess then it was a little bit because she still had Andy, meaning my grandfather, and Jamesy, which she talked about, that was her favorite brother. But again, Lynn and Lou don't run into people from elementary school, middle school, high school. No idea where they fell off the end of the earth. Is that like part of the glitch in the system where they're just rerouted to purposely never convalesce or never run into one another? I mean, in this weeding out and breeding on like a higher platform. Today's the day I found the Free Guy movie mention after yesterday I was watching Born Identity. A few days before I'd seen Born Supremacy. So I'm going with this hyperbole of what the 1% club in the academies and the important, beautiful people somewhere, they get some kind of script that they then get to play out, and it's usually based on our real lives, in trying to get some whatever accomplished or completed, with art imitating life. So, just confusing at integration and intramurals, and good sportsmanship, and then like participation, why that may have been like a complete. Now, second side note is, it used to be SLATS and PLASTER, and that was a craft and an art when my grandfather was younger through his whatever, and he would paint, but he painted frescoes on the ceiling and things. He was very talented. In Lou's day and age, they now use, first they use something called gypsum board for gypsies and Jaegers or Jagger, whatever. And then they moved from a gypsum board to a sheet rock. Still in that pulp middle center of a York peppermint patty and a coconut, even though the two flavors totally different, still the same color white in the center as gypsum board, as chalk, as the, it's gypsum board or sheetrock is what they use, and then they paint over it when they finish it. And that's how what they put on the inside of the residence around here. I think perhaps it wasn't in my area at some point. They also called it cement board. But that's really more for when you're hanging tiles Again, in products and placement, but it's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. So it's for building materials in local verse, for echo chamber sounds and patterns that the humans have used that I've picked up on in the hard labor part of being trapped here that I've participated in to try to make some form of money for myself to feed myself and the kids. Which I can't even participate in now any longer because of all of the biological, it feels like shingles based on the commercial that they're advertising now on the local television. It's April 3rd, 2022. This is the anniversary of my grandmother's death, Marie. I think she died in 1991. Clifford's wife.